know B.B. King? Nobody loves me but my students. And they did be jiving too. Nobody loves me but my students. They may be jiving too. That's why it hurts me so much, baby, when they give me the evaluations that they do. All right, that was just for me to warm up. I'm really not doing that song. You know, it really does my heart proud to know that you bright and creative and caring people are about to get out there in your community and be of help and shake them up. And this is really coming full circle for me because in 1974, I was sitting about where you are, getting my MSW, people screaming, and really not all that much has changed. And now I'm retiring, and so in a sense I'm where you are because we're both into commencement. And back in 1974, at the end of my social work program, somehow I just felt the need to put it all into words, which is where this song came from. And it's evolved a little, but not much, over the years. Anyway, for those of you who've heard it before, I had to warn you that it's kind of a long song. And you'll know it starts when I say, well. Takes me a little while to metamorphosize into the proper frame of mind for this song. If you have to get in the proper frame of mind and realize it's 1974, Wild Feeling, Arlo Guthrie, Alice's Restaurant, and you didn't have to sing. You could do something called Talking Blues, which is the only reason I'd be with this guitar in front of y'all. Anyway, it was about social work and how I got into it and what social work is all about. For those of you back there in the audience, by now you know what it's all about too, because I'm sure you've heard the moaning and the groaning from these folks for 3 years. They probably educated you about social work. But really this song is for the students. Well, I told you. Well, I've been bumming around about a year when my daddy said, son, get out of here. I said, but Daddy, what'll I do? And he said, son, with a weak back like yours, there's only one job for you. That's social working. I said, but Daddy, how do I get to be one of these here social workers? And he said, son, you got to go to the university. I said, but why, Dad? I already know how to talk to my dog all day. He says, I know you do, son, but don't ask me why. You've got to get certified. Certified talker, social worker. So, packed my bag and my guitar. University weren't very far, just like my daddy said. Lots of talking. Had a place that did this talking called the classroom. Head talker is called the professor, and we lesser talkers is called students. Things we talked about was subjects. And I had me one subject known as HBSC. I never did know what all those letters stood for. Anyway, it's about the big theories of the day. And in my day, one of them big theories was psychoanalysis, all about sex. I mean Freud, I slipped there. Now, Freud tried to tell me that I love my mama and hate my daddy. I get these right. I love my mama when she made me favorite cornbread. I hated my daddy when he gave me a whooping. Of course, I loved my daddy when he took me hunting. Hated my mama when she gave me a whooping. And they said, son, what do you think about Freud? I said, well, sometimes he's right and sometimes he weren't. They said, son, you got wisdom. And I passed that class. Then we had another class called Rogerian talking. Interview skills. Kind of like a verbal follow the leader. Goes something like this. Man comes in and says, I feel terrible. I say, you feel terrible. He says, my wife left me. I say, your wife left you. He says, I feel like killing myself. I say, you feel like killing yourself. That helps them. Our research proves it works. Our research proves it don't. They call that science. Well, I had research too. What a mess was SPS done. You all know what research is. That's when you ask 3,000 people a question, 300 people answer it, and only 3 people care what they said. That's you, your co-author, and your mother. Well, I did have me another class called Behavior Modification, which is a fancy name for dog training. You can teach anybody anything if you have enough M&Ms to give them a reward. Anyway, I tried it on my dog. I said, sit up. He didn't. I said, roll over. He didn't. I said, speak. He said, I don't like M&Ms, and I never tried it again. Well, you think that well would mean the song was over, but I still had more classes. I had me a class called Social Policies, and you see, it was early in the morning, so I slept a lot. That class was all about the big issues of the day. Big issue in my day was screwdrivers. That's right, how can the Pentagon spend $35 on a screwdriver that I can get for 47 cents at the hardware store? One day the head doctor said, how can the Pentagon spend $1.4 million on screwdrivers when there are women and children and men starving in the streets? I raised my hand and said, well, maybe they got a lot of screws loose up there. I almost passed that. Then, of course, we had this place to do talking. That was called the internship. And I know why they call it that. It's like being interned on a ship. You got to work all day for no pay. That's to get you used to your future salary. Anyway, I had mine at a place called Child and Family Service, a place that was mighty nervous about their budget. Some things never change. Had me a supervisor named Annette Sproul who used to howl about something called family therapy. And by now, you all know what that is. They tell you that the family is a system, which means if somebody's got a problem, it's everybody's problem, and probably they want it to keep being a problem, which makes you wonder why they come in the first place. But it goes something like this. Man comes in with his wife, says, I'm having trouble with my boy in school with his lying and cheating and fighting and stealing, crying and carrying on. I looked at him and says, well, how's your sex life between you and your wife? He looked at me and says, well, I never. And I said, that's your problem. Well, after the internship, you know, it's about over. You're ready to graduate. But there's nothing over in social work until you get feedback. You know what feedback is? That's when you do the best you can. Everybody tells you what's wrong with it. Well, I had to get feedback for my songs. So I went to Rich, the department chair. And I said, Rich, what do you think about this song? Rich says, well, it's a very nice song, Jerry, but it lacks cultural competence. I said, what do you mean? I learned cultural competence. You know you're culturally competent when you know that Nacho Mama is not a Mexican soul food restaurant. Anyway, I went on down the hall. and I saw Aaron Casey. And I said, Aaron, what'd you think of this song? And Aaron says, well, it's a very nice song, Jerry. But I'm afraid it's sexist. I said, what do you mean it's sexist? She said, there's no content on women. I said, oh, women. Well, they taught you about Jane Addams and how she took a stand. Sorry, I only play this once a year. But what they never taught you was her sexual preference. You'll have to Google that. Well, I wasn't done with the feedback. So I went to Terry, who knows everything. I said, Terry, what do you think of this song? She said, Jerry, I'm so disappointed in you. You know that there is a forum in triplicate on the web, and if you'll just fill it out, I'll tell you. So I kept on going, and I realized that I wasn't done with feedback. And so I went to Marcy Lazari. And I said, Marcy, what'd you think of this song? And Marcy said, well, Jerry, you know, I'm so busy being the chair of the faculty, I'll have to get a guest speaker to tell you. And then I went to Tom Beam. And I said, Tom, what'd you think of this song? And he says, Jerry, I'm very disappointed to hear you can't follow directions. You had 4 minutes to do this song, and it's 4 minutes and 2 seconds now, and that'll cost you 20 points. And I realized I almost had enough feedback. And so I went to the real experts. I went to the students. And I said, students, what do you think of this song? And the students said, and finally one of them shyly raised her hand and said, do we have to write this down? Is this going to be on the test? Not anymore, you're done. Well, it's a long song, I understand that. I'm no doubt over the limit. Problem is, I didn't have an ending for this song. And you can't end a song without an ending. And so I went around trying to think about an ending for this song, and finally I realized something that my dog and the cat's been trying to teach me all these years. Some good advice for you and some good advice for me. And that's when you're tired, sit. When you're stiff, stretch. And when you're through,